A millionaire is stunned to discover strange birthmarks on two orphans, birthmarks identical to his own. Is this just a coincidence or a sign of a secret that has been buried for years? Before embarking on this emotional journey, leave a comment to let us know where you are watching from. Let's explore together a heart-touching story where destiny, forgotten memories, and strong family ties intertwine in every moment. Rain tapped against the windows of Pinewood Community Center as Alexander Reed checked his Patek Philippe watch with a barely suppressed sigh. This was supposed to be a 20-minute appearance. Shake a few hands, take a few photos with the check, and leave. Another tax-deductible donation to add to his yearly charitable portfolio. At 42, Alex had mastered the art of efficient philanthropy. "We're so grateful for your interest in our arts program, Mr. Reed," Monica Chen, the center's director, said, as she guided him through hallways decorated with children's artwork. Her enthusiasm seemed genuine, unlike the polished gratitude he usually encountered at charity galas. "Most donors just send checks, but having someone of your profile actually visit means so much to the kids." Alex nodded politely, mentally calculating how soon he could return to the pending acquisition documents waiting in his car. Reed Innovations was on the verge of its biggest expansion yet. Victor would be expecting his feedback on the contracts by evening. "The children are finishing their art projects for our community showcase," Monica continued, gesturing toward a classroom where laughter and chatter spilled into the hallway. "Would you like to peek in before we discuss the funding details?" Before Alex could craft a graceful decline, the sound of a child's delighted squeal drew his attention. Something about the pitch, the cadence of that laughter tugged at a long-buried memory. His sister Eliza's laugh had sounded just like that. "Perhaps just for a moment," he conceded. The art room bustled with activity. A dozen children scattered at tables covered with paints, clay, and craft supplies. Most were working in noisy groups, but in the far corner, two girls sat slightly apart, heads bent together over their work. Identical twins around 8 years old, with dark curly hair hastily pulled into matching ponytails, their small frames swimming in paint-splattered smocks. Alex found himself staring. They weren't just working side by side. They were creating a single artwork together, one girl outlining shapes, while the other filled them with color. No words passed between them, just occasional glances, small nods, tiny adjustments. He recognized that wordless communication, the silent language he and Eliza had shared as children. "Those are the Parker twins, Lily and Rose," Monica said, following his gaze. "Remarkable artists for their age. They've been with our program for about 6 months now." One of the girls, Alex couldn't tell which, reached across the table for a brush, her sleeve pulling back to reveal a small birthmark on her inner wrist. Alex's portfolio slipped from his fingers, scattering papers across the floor. There on the child's skin was a distinctive star-shaped mark, identical to the one hidden beneath his own watchband. The sound of falling papers drew everyone's attention. As Alex knelt to gather the documents, he became aware of two small figures approaching him. "You dropped these, mister," one twin said, offering a handful of papers. "Thank you," Alex replied automatically, his voice unnaturally tight as he accepted them. The girl tilted her head curiously, studying his face with an intensity that felt uncomfortably perceptive. Her sister stood slightly behind, equally observant but more cautious. "I'm Rose," said the twin who had handed him the papers. "That's Lily. We're not supposed to be twins because we look different when you know us." "I can see that," Alex managed, noticing now the subtle differences. Rose stood with confidence, meeting his gaze directly, while Lily observed from a half-step behind, her eyes taking in details her sister might miss. As he reached to accept the last paper, his watch shifted, exposing his wrist. Rose's eyes widened, and she grabbed his arm with surprising strength for such a small child. "Lily, look," she gasped. "He has it too." Lily stepped forward, her reserve momentarily forgotten, as she examined the star-shaped birthmark on Alex's wrist, identical to the one her sister had just revealed on her own arm. "It's the same as ours," Lily whispered, pulling up her sleeve to show an identical mark. The room seemed to tilt beneath Alex's feet. One birthmark could be coincidence, but two identical marks, on twins, matched to his own hereditary mark that he'd only ever shared with his sister. Rose looked from the birthmark to his face, her eyes filled with a hope so raw it physically hurt to witness. "Mister, are you our real father? Everyone says you have our same star." The innocent question landed like a physical blow. Alex struggled to maintain his composure, aware of Monica's embarrassed apology and attempt to usher the girls back to their table. "I don't think so," he stammered, his usual eloquence deserting him completely. "But it is an unusual coincidence." "The girls sometimes create stories about their family," Monica explained quietly. "They're in the foster system, waiting for permanent placement. Ms. Williams, their social worker, says it's their way of processing." "Foster care?" Alex repeated, unable to look away from the twins who were now whispering together while casting glances his way. "Their mother is listed as unknown, and there's no father on record. They were left at Pinewood General as newborns with just their first names and a family heirloom." Alex felt something shift inside him, a certainty he couldn't explain or justify. "How long have they been in the system?" "Their entire lives. They've been moved 3 times in the past year alone." Monica's voice held the resignation of someone who had seen this story too many times. "Most families find twins, especially ones as connected as these two, too challenging." As Alex prepared to leave 30 minutes later, having extracted as much information as Monica could ethically provide, he found himself taking one last look at the art room. The twins were watching him through the window, identical solemn expressions on their small faces, their hands pressed against the glass. In his sleek Audi, rain beating against the roof, Alex stared at his birthmark, the star-shaped pattern that had skipped generations in his family before appearing in him and Eliza. His sister, who had disappeared after a devastating argument 8 years ago. His sister, who would have been pregnant around the time she vanished. The timing couldn't be coincidence. The birthmark couldn't be coincidence. Alex pulled out his phone and called his executive assistant. "Derek, cancel my meetings tomorrow." His eyes drifted to the rearview mirror, catching his own troubled reflection. "I need you to find information on twin girls, approximately 8 years old, currently in foster care in Pinewood County. And," he paused, "pull everything we have on my sister Eliza's disappearance. Everything." As he drove away from the community center, Alex knew his carefully structured life had just veered into uncharted territory. For the first time in years, the next quarter's projections were the furthest thing from his mind. Alex's modernist glass home overlooking the city skyline should have felt peaceful at midnight. Instead, he paced the living room like a caged animal, surrounded by sleek furniture that had been chosen by his decorator for aesthetic perfection rather than comfort. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased a million-dollar view that no one ever shared with him. The silence was deafening. Scattered across his minimalist coffee table were the files Derek had compiled. Newspaper clippings about abandoned twin girls, heavily redacted foster care statistics, and the few public records available without court orders. It wasn't much, but enough to confirm the twins, Rose and Lily Parker, had been left at Pinewood General Hospital 8 years ago, with only first names and a small silver locket that couldn't be opened. 8 years ago, right when Eliza vanished. Alex ran his fingers over the star-shaped birthmark on his wrist. Family legend said it appeared only in those destined for extraordinary connection. His grandfather had it. He and Eliza had it. Now these girls. The coincidence was too specific to ignore. His phone buzzed with a text from Derek. Appointment with Department of Child Services confirmed for 9 a.m. Contact Maya Williams, caseworker. Sleep was impossible. Instead, Alex spent the night researching foster care statistics, legal precedents for family reunification, and biological markers of heredity. By morning, dark circles shadowed his eyes, but his mind was razor-sharp with purpose. The Department of Child Services office was a stark contrast to Alex's corporate world. Beige walls displayed posters about foster care and adoption. The waiting room chairs had seen better decades. A water cooler gurgled in the corner, providing the only sound besides distant phones ringing. "Mr. Reed, I'm Maya Williams." Alex rose to meet a woman in her mid-30s with natural hair, pulled back in a practical style, wearing a simple blouse and slacks that spoke of function over fashion. Her handshake was firm, her expression professionally neutral, but her eyes were assessing him with undisguised skepticism. "Thank you for meeting me," Alex said, following her to a small office overwhelmed with files and children's drawings. "Your assistant was quite persistent," Maya replied as she closed the door, "though he was vague about your interest in the Parker twins." "I believe they might be related to me," Alex stated, deciding directness was the best approach. "I met them yesterday at the community center and noticed we share an unusual birthmark." Maya's expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted, becoming more guarded. "Mr. Reed, with all due respect, many people have birthmarks. That's hardly grounds for claiming relation to children in the foster system." "I understand your caution," Alex acknowledged, "but this birthmark is hereditary in my family and it's quite distinctive. My sister Eliza had the same mark. She disappeared 8 years ago, right around when these girls would have been born." Maya folded her hands on her desk. "These children have been in the system their entire lives. They've experienced multiple placements and disappointments. I can't allow them to be subjected to false hope based on a coincidence." "I'm not asking to meet them again. Not yet," Alex clarified. "I'm just seeking information that might help determine if there's a connection. These records are confidential, I understand, but surely there's something you can tell me about their background, the note left with them, the locket." Maya studied him for a long moment. "Why are you really here, Mr. Reed? Because I've seen your type before. Wealthy individuals seeking to ease their conscience through charitable projects. These are vulnerable children, not a curiosity to satisfy." The accusation stung because it hit uncomfortably close to how he'd initially approached the community center visit. Alex pushed back his sleeve, revealing his birthmark. "This is why I'm here," he said quietly. "My sister had this exact mark. It's rare, genetically specific to my family line. I haven't heard from Eliza in 8 years, and I need to know if these girls could be her daughters." He pulled out his wallet and extracted a faded photograph of himself and Eliza as teenagers, both showing their matching birthmarks at a beach. Maya's expression softened slightly as she examined the photo. "I see the similarity," she admitted, "but this still doesn't give you access to confidential records." "What if—" Alex hesitated, then committed, "What if I submit a DNA test? Would that help establish whether there's a biological connection?" The social worker considered this. "It could, though the process would have to go through proper channels. And even if a connection were established, that doesn't automatically grant you any rights regarding the girls." "I understand. I just need to know." Maya sighed, relenting slightly. The girls were left with a note giving their first names and a date of birth. The mother's name was listed simply as E. "E," Alex repeated, "could be Eliza." "That's speculation," Maya cautioned. They also had a silver locket, heart-shaped, with an unusual filigree pattern. It appears old, possibly an heirloom, but no one's been able to open it without potentially damaging it. Alex's heart raced. "My grandmother had a locket like that. It had a special way to open it. Eliza inherited it when our grandmother died." Maya watched his reaction carefully. "The girls have been in 3 different foster homes in the past year. The last placement ended because the family felt they were too connected to each other, and sometimes spoke about a mother who would return for them." "They remember her." "They have created memories," Maya corrected, "which is common for children in their situation. Whether these are actual memories or coping mechanisms is impossible to determine." As their meeting concluded, Alex felt both encouraged and overwhelmed by the possibility taking shape before him. He handed Maya his business card, adding his personal cell number on the back. "Please, if you think of anything else that might help confirm their identity, call me directly, anytime." Maya accepted the card but caught his arm before he could leave. "Mr. Reed, even if you do find a connection, these girls have been disappointed by adults their entire lives. Please don't make promises you can't keep." The warning followed Alex as he walked to his car, the weight of potential responsibilities settling on shoulders that had previously only carried business concerns. He looked at the photo of Eliza again, focusing on the locket around her neck in the picture, similar to the one reportedly left with the twins. His phone rang. Victor, his mentor and business partner, probably wondering why he'd canceled their strategy meeting. Alex let it go to voicemail. For the first time in years, business would have to wait. This wasn't just about finding Eliza anymore. It was about two little girls with his family's birthmark who had spent 8 years waiting for someone to claim them. The headquarters of Reed Innovations occupied the top 10 floors of a gleaming downtown skyscraper, a testament to the tech empire Alex had built with Victor Harmon's guidance over the past 15 years. Engineers and executives moved with purposeful energy across the open concept main floor, surrounded by glass-walled meeting rooms and digital displays showcasing their latest innovations. Alex nodded distractedly at greetings as he headed toward his office, his mind still processing his meeting with Maya Williams. He'd been so focused on confirming whether the twins were related to Eliza that he hadn't fully considered what would happen if they were. What role could, or should, he play in their lives? "There you are," Victor's authoritative voice broke through his thoughts. "I was beginning to think you'd disappeared." At 60, Victor Harmon remained an imposing figure. Silver hair perfectly styled, bespoke suit impeccably tailored, his commanding presence cultivated through decades of corporate leadership. More than a business partner, he had been Alex's mentor since taking him under his wing after college, stepping into the paternal void left by Alex's parents' early deaths. "Sorry about this morning," Alex replied, following Victor into his corner office with its panoramic city views. "Something came up that needed my attention." "Something more important than the Kyoto merger?" Victor raised an eyebrow, gesturing to the conference room where board members were gathering. "The team's been waiting for your input on the final terms." Alex glanced at the waiting executives, including Cassandra Winters, their most skeptical board member. "I'll be ready for the meeting. I just need to handle something first." Victor studied him with the penetrating gaze that had intimidated countless business opponents. "You seem distracted. Is there a problem I should know about?" For a moment, Alex considered confiding in Victor about the twins. After all, Victor had been there when Eliza left, had helped Alex through that difficult period. But something held him back, an instinct he couldn't explain. "Just following up on a personal matter, nothing that will impact the merger." Victor seemed prepared to press further when Alex's phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "Twins asked about you. Appropriate to arrange supervised meeting at Westside Park tomorrow at 4 if you're interested." "You're smiling," Victor observed, his tone curious. "Must be good news." Alex pocketed his phone. "I'm arranging to meet with someone. It might help me locate Eliza." Victor's expression shifted subtly, a momentary tightness around his eyes. "Eliza? After all this time, why reopen old wounds?" "It's complicated," Alex replied, uncomfortable with Victor's reaction. "I may have found a connection to her." Before Victor could respond, Cassandra knocked on the glass door. "Gentlemen, we need to start the meeting. Our Tokyo partners are waiting on the video call." The next 3 hours were consumed by negotiation details, but Alex found his focus repeatedly drifting to the twins and Victor's unexpected reaction to the mention of Eliza. By the time the meeting concluded successfully, he was eager to escape the office. "Dinner at the club," Victor suggested as they gathered their materials. "We should celebrate the merger moving forward." "Can't tonight," Alex replied, already heading for the door. "I need to prepare for tomorrow." "This meeting about Eliza?" Victor followed him to the elevator. "Alex, I'm concerned. You've built something extraordinary here. Your sister made her choice years ago. Whatever you think you found, is it worth risking everything we've worked for?" Alex turned, surprised by the intensity in Victor's voice. "It's just a meeting, Victor, not a corporate takeover." "Family complications have a way of consuming everything in their path," Victor warned. "I've seen it happen to promising executives before." The elevator arrived, and Alex stepped inside, increasingly unsettled by Victor's reaction. "I'll have the contract revisions to you by morning." As the doors closed, he caught a glimpse of Victor's expression. Not concern, but something harder, more calculating. The following afternoon, Alex arrived at Westside Park 30 minutes early, nervously waiting on a bench near the playground. He'd brought art supplies, remembering how the twins had been drawing when he first saw them. The thoughtful gesture had been Maya's suggestion during their brief phone conversation arranging the meeting. At precisely 4 o'clock, he spotted Maya walking toward him with Rose and Lily, both wearing matching blue dresses and expressions of cautious curiosity. His heart raced in a way no business negotiation had ever triggered. "Girls, you remember Mr. Reed from the community center?" Maya said gently. The man with the star, Rose stated confidently, while Lily studied him silently. That's right, Alex smiled, rolling up his sleeve to show his birthmark. I brought something for us to do together if you'd like. The art supplies proved a perfect icebreaker. Within minutes, the twins were showing him their drawing techniques, their initial reserve gradually melting. As they worked, Alex noticed mannerisms that startlingly mirrored Eliza's. Lily's habit of tucking hair behind her ear, Rose's animated gestures when explaining something important. Our last foster dad said we make stuff up, Rose said suddenly, looking up from her drawing of what appeared to be a family. About our mom. What kinds of things? Alex asked carefully, noting how Maya leaned forward attentively. That she had the same star, Lily said quietly, and that she told us stories before we were born. Is that possible? Rose asked. To remember before you're born? Before Alex could formulate a response, his phone rang. Victor again, the fourth call since he'd left the office. He declined it, but the interruption had broken the moment's fragile connection. As their time together ended, Diane Peterson, the twins' current foster mother, arrived to collect them. A kind-faced woman managing multiple foster children, she mentioned casually, "The girls' belongings from their previous home were finally transferred to us yesterday. Mostly clothes, but there's a small locket no one's been able to open." Alex's pulse quickened. Would it be possible for me to see it? Maya's expression suggested this pushed boundaries, but she didn't object when Diane agreed to bring it to their next meeting. Driving home later, Alex called Maya. The locket. I recognized the description. It belonged to my grandmother. I need to find Eliza more than ever now. What Alex didn't see was Victor's car parked discreetly nearby, or the photographs being taken of his interaction with the twins by an unobtrusive man with a professional camera. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear, a perfect day for the playground. Alex arrived early again, this time bringing a small blanket to spread on the grass near the swing sets. The community playground buzzed with weekend activity, parents pushing children on swings, teenagers shooting hoops on the basketball court, elderly couples watching from benches, normal family scenes that Alex had never pictured himself part of. He spotted Maya first, her professional demeanor slightly softened by casual weekend clothes. The twins skipped alongside her, their matching sundresses and sandals making them look like any other children enjoying a weekend outing. Only their watchful eyes, taking in their surroundings with the hyper-awareness common to children who've moved too often, hinted at their different reality. We brought snacks, Rose announced, holding up a small cooler as they approached. Diane helped us make lemonade, Lily added, her voice softer, but eyes bright with pride. That's perfect, Alex said, genuinely touched by the gesture. I brought something too. He opened his messenger bag to reveal a set of professional-grade colored pencils and sketching pads, not the typical children's art supplies, but tools that acknowledge their serious interest in art. These are like the ones at Ms. Chen's center, Lily whispered, carefully touching the pencil case. These are yours to keep, Alex explained. I noticed how talented you both are. Maya caught his eye with an approving nod as she settled onto the blanket. The girls have been excited about seeing you again, Mr. Reed. Alex, please, he insisted, still uncomfortable with formality after their previous meetings. The twins needed no further encouragement to dive into the art supplies. As they drew, Alex noticed how they created together, one often starting an element that the other would complete. No words needed to coordinate their vision. It reminded him painfully of how he and Eliza would finish each other's sentences as children. What do you like to draw most? He asked, watching their skilled hands move across the paper. People, Rose answered immediately, especially families. And houses, Lily added, with everyone inside them. Their current drawing was taking shape, a family scene with adult figures and two smaller ones. Alex noted how the mother figure was always positioned with her back partially turned, her face never fully visible. Is this your family? He asked carefully. The twins exchanged one of their silent communications. It's the family in our dreams, Rose explained, as if this clarified everything. Do you dream about your mother? Alex ventured, aware of Maya's attentive presence. Rose nodded vigorously. She has hair like ours but longer, and she sings songs about stars. Not real dreams, Lily corrected her sister. Memory dreams. There's a difference. Maya leaned forward slightly. Lily, you've never mentioned that distinction before. The quieter twin shrugged. Our last foster dad said we were making things up, but we're not. They're just old memories that come back when we're sleeping. Alex felt his throat tighten. Could they possibly have actual memories of Eliza from infancy, or even from before birth, as Rose had asked during their last meeting? He'd read research suggesting babies could recognize their mother's voice from the womb. Rose suddenly fixed her direct gaze on him. Did you know our mother? Is that why you have our star? The question hung in the air between them. Maya's expression remained neutral, but her eyes conveyed a clear warning. Be careful with your answer. Alex hesitated, looking from Rose's hopeful face to Lily's watchful one. His instinct was to tell them everything. About Eliza, about his suspicions, about the birthmark's significance in their family. But Maya's earlier caution echoed in his mind. These children had experienced too many disappointments already. I might have known someone connected to your family, he finally said, choosing his words with deliberate care. I'm trying to find out for sure. Rose's face fell visibly at his uncertain answer. Our last foster dad told us we were making up stories about our mom coming back, Lily said quietly, her gaze lowered to her drawing. He said nobody wanted us because we're too much trouble. The casual cruelty of the statement hit Alex like a physical blow. Before he could formulate a response, Rose added, he said we should be split up to have a better chance of being adopted. That's why we had to leave the McLaren house, Lily explained, her voice matter of fact, but her fingers tightening around her pencil. We wouldn't be separated. Alex moved closer, kneeling to their level. He rolled up his sleeve, displaying his birthmark again. This mark means we're connected somehow, he said, with quiet intensity. And I promise you, you're not too much trouble. Not to me. The twins studied him, their identical brown eyes, Eliza's eyes, searching for deception. Maya watched, her professional distance softening slightly at his sincerity. As they were packing up later, Diane arrived to collect the girls, carrying a small wooden box. I found the locket you asked about, she told Alex, opening the box to reveal a silver heart-shaped pendant on a delicate chain. No one's been able to figure out how to open it without breaking the clasp. Alex stared at the familiar heirloom, the same locket his grandmother had left to Eliza, with its hidden opening mechanism known only to family members. May I? He asked, heart pounding. When Diane nodded, he carefully took the locket, pressing the tiny star-shaped indentation while simultaneously sliding the top edge, revealing the compartment that had remained sealed for 8 years. Inside was a miniature photograph of Eliza, smiling, her hand resting protectively over her pregnant belly. The storage facility on the outskirts of town seemed an unlikely place for life-altering revelations. Alex stood before the roll-up door of Unit 217, key in hand, steeling himself for what lay inside. While his minimalist penthouse displayed the sleek, forward-looking image he presented to the world, this storage unit contained everything he couldn't bring himself to display but couldn't discard, the physical artifacts of a past he'd tried to outrun. With a deep breath, he raised the door to reveal stacked boxes labeled with Eliza's neat handwriting, family photos, mom's china, dad's books, mementos of the parents they'd lost too young and the childhood they'd shared before everything fell apart. His phone rang, Maya Williams calling. The photograph in the locket, she said without preamble. It's definitely the twins' mother. Yes, Alex confirmed, moving deeper into the storage unit. My sister Eliza. The locket belonged to our grandmother. This changes things, Maya acknowledged. I've started the paperwork for a DNA test, but with the locket and birthmark, we have enough circumstantial evidence to formally investigate a family connection. Thank you, Alex said sincerely. I know you're taking a professional risk. I'm doing my job, Maya corrected, though her tone had warmed considerably since their first meeting. The girls deserved to know their family history, whatever it might be. After they hung up, Alex began the methodical process of searching through the boxes. Family albums revealed countless photos of him and Eliza growing up, both bearing the distinctive birthmark. Letters his sister had written during college, birthday cards exchanged over years. But the correspondence stopped abruptly 8 years ago, right after a heated family argument about Victor's increasing control over the company, and over Alex himself. Eliza had accused Victor of deliberately isolating Alex from everyone who cared about him. Alex had defended his mentor. Harsh words were exchanged. Eliza had stormed out. And then, silence. A knock on the storage unit's open door startled Alex. A man in his 60s with the weathered face of someone who'd seen too much stood in the entrance. "Mr. Reed, I'm Detective Morgan, retired now. I handled your sister's missing persons case." Alex straightened from his crouched position over the boxes. "I didn't contact any detective." Morgan shrugged. "Ms. Williams reached out, said you were reopening the search for your sister. Thought I might help, off the record. That case always bothered me." "What do you mean?" Alex gestured for the former detective to enter. "Missing persons cases usually have patterns. Your sister's didn't fit any of them." Morgan ran a hand over his thinning hair. "No financial activity after she disappeared, but no body ever found. No contact with known associates, but her passport never flagged at any border." "I was told she wanted to disappear," Alex said, remembering Victor's explanation, "that she left the country through unofficial channels." Morgan's expression turned skeptical. "That's what Mr. Harmon told us, provided evidence she'd planned to start fresh abroad. The investigation was dropped." Victor provided evidence? This was new information. "What kind of evidence?" "Emails supposedly from your sister to him, saying she wanted a clean break from her old life, travel arrangements to South America." Morgan watched Alex carefully. "Always struck me as convenient." Alex's mind raced. "You didn't believe it?" "Let's just say I tried to investigate further, but hit unusual roadblocks. Suddenly my captain was telling me to close the case. Not long after, Mr. Harmon made a substantial donation to the Police Benevolent Fund. The implication hung heavy in the air." "I need to speak with anyone who might have known about Eliza's plans back then," Alex said, a cold dread forming in his stomach. "You might start with Sarah Jenkins. She was Harmon's assistant during that period. Left the company suddenly about 7 years ago." It took 3 days to track down Sarah Jenkins, now living in a modest apartment 2 towns over. The nervous woman who answered the door barely resembled the confident executive assistant, Alex remembered. "I can't talk about this," she said immediately, attempting to close the door when Alex mentioned Eliza. "Please," Alex placed his hand on the door. "I found Eliza's daughters, 8-year-old twins with our family birthmark." Sarah froze. "She kept them?" Her hand flew to her mouth, realizing her mistake. "You knew she was pregnant?" Reluctantly, Sarah invited him inside. Her small living room was cluttered with books and craft supplies, a stark contrast to the corporate precision she'd once embodied. "Victor had me intercept all her communications," Sarah admitted, hands trembling around her teacup. "Calls, emails, letters. Anything she sent to you went through me first." "Why would he do that?" "He said it was for your own good, that she was unstable and would drag you down when you were just starting to succeed." Sarah couldn't meet his eyes. "When she announced she was pregnant, he became obsessed with keeping it from you." "He had no right," Alex said, anger building within him. "He said you'd requested it, that you'd explicitly asked not to be bothered with her problems." Sarah's voice dropped. "I suspected he was lying, but the severance package he offered for my silence was substantial." "And the evidence he gave police about her leaving the country?" "Fabricated, all of it." She finally looked up. "I helped him create it. It's why I left eventually. The guilt was too much." Back at the storage unit, Alex attacked the remaining boxes with renewed purpose. In a lockbox requiring his fingerprint to open, a security measure he'd forgotten implementing, he found a stack of unopened letters from Eliza, all marked "Returned to Sender," in handwriting he now recognized as Victor's. With shaking hands, he opened the final letter. Inside was an ultrasound image of twins and Eliza's desperate words. "They're telling me you want nothing to do with us, but I don't believe it. These babies will have our family's mark, Alex. Please tell me yourself if you really want me to disappear." The letter was dated 1 week before her disappearance. Alex sank to the floor of the storage unit, surrounded by the evidence of Victor's betrayal. Not just of him, but of Eliza, of the twins, of the family they could have been. For 8 years, 2 little girls had grown up without their mother, without their uncle, because Victor Harmon had decided they were inconvenient to his plans for Alex's future. His phone chimed with a message from Maya. DNA results confirmed. 99.9% probability you are the twins' maternal uncle. The scientific validation felt almost unnecessary now. Alex already knew the truth. What he didn't know, what made his blood run cold, was how far Victor had gone to separate him from his family, and whether Eliza was still out there, believing her brother had abandoned her when she needed him most. Maya's office at Child Services felt like the eye of a hurricane, a momentary calm amid the chaos Alex's discoveries had unleashed. The walls covered with children's artwork and family success stories seemed to mock the crisis unfolding before them. "This just came through," Maya said, sliding a document across her desk. "Request for expedited out-of-state placement for the Parker twins. Approval already granted. They're scheduled to leave tomorrow morning." Tomorrow? Alex stared at the paperwork. How is that possible? "There's confirmed family connection now." Maya's expression was grim. "Someone with significant influence fast-tracked this through administrative channels, bypassing normal protocols. I only found out because I was updating their file with the DNA results." Alex didn't need to ask who that someone was. Since confronting Victor the previous evening at his home, he'd expected retaliation. The confrontation had been ugly, Victor defending his actions as necessary to protect Alex's future, while dismissing Eliza as going to ruin everything with her neediness, her pregnancy. "I made her a generous offer to start fresh elsewhere," Victor had claimed coldly. "How was I to know she'd abandoned the children?" Alex had left Victor's house in a rage, but he should have anticipated his mentor would take immediate action. "What about the DNA results?" Alex asked, reviewing the placement paperwork. "Don't they override this?" "Under normal circumstances, yes, but the administrative approval has already been processed." Maya's voice held controlled fury. "This isn't how the system is supposed to work." "We need to file for emergency temporary guardianship," Alex said, already pulling out his phone to call his lawyer. Maya nodded. "I've started the paperwork, but we'll need a judge to issue a stay on the transfer immediately." 3 hours later, Alex stood before Judge Eleanor Simmons in her chambers, the hastily assembled emergency hearing feeling surreal after the sleepless night and frantic morning. "Mr. Reed," Judge Simmons said, reviewing the documents before her, "while I understand your concerns, Mr. Harmon's lawyer has presented some troubling information about your sudden interest in these children." Thomas Carter, Victor's smooth-talking attorney, interjected, "My client has only the children's best interests at heart, Your Honor. Mr. Reed's company is facing financial difficulties, and this convenient family connection appeared precisely when he might benefit from the positive publicity and tax advantages of becoming a guardian." "That's absurd," Alex countered, struggling to maintain his composure. "The DNA test confirms I'm their uncle. Their mother is my sister who disappeared, likely due to Mr. Harmon's manipulations." Judge Simmons held up her hand. "These are serious allegations on both sides. I'm ordering a 72-hour hold on any placement while we sort through the evidence properly." As they left the courthouse, Alex felt a momentary relief. 72 hours to build their case, to find more evidence of Victor's interference, perhaps even to locate Eliza. That relief shattered when Maya's phone rang 30 minutes later. "What?" Her voice rose sharply. "That violates the court order." She listened for another moment, her expression darkening. "We'll be right there." She turned to Alex, already heading for her car. "Someone from administration has authorized the twins' immediate transfer, claiming the court order hasn't been properly processed yet. They're packing the girls' things now. This isn't legal, but by the time we fight it through proper channels, they'll be gone." Alex didn't hesitate. "Where are they?" The foster home was a modest split level in a quiet suburban neighborhood. As they pulled up, Alex spotted a black sedan in the driveway and 2 small figures being escorted toward it, each clutching a backpack. "Rose! Lily!" he called out, rushing from the car. Rose turned at his voice, her face lighting up with recognition. "You came back!" She broke away from the caseworker, running toward him with Lily following close behind. The caseworker, a stern-faced woman Alex hadn't met before, stepped between them, holding up official-looking documents. "I'm sorry, sir, but I have authorization to transfer these children to their new placement immediately. And I have a court order preventing any transfer for 72 hours, Alex countered, pulling out the judge's directive while Maya made a call on her phone. "These girls belong with family, not strangers across the country," Alex stated firmly, positioning himself between the twins and the waiting car. The girls pressed against him, their small bodies trembling. The standoff lasted 10 excruciating minutes until Maya announced, "Judge Simmons is on the line. She wants to speak with you," holding out her phone to the caseworker. The woman's face paled as she listened to the judge. When she disconnected, she nodded stiffly. "The transfer is suspended. The children will remain in their current placement until further notice. All parties are to appear in my chambers at 9 a.m. tomorrow," Maya added, relaying the judge's instructions. As the black sedan drove away, Alex knelt to the twins' level. "Are you okay?" Lily nodded silently while Rose asked, "Were they really going to take us away?" "Not anymore," Alex assured them, though he knew Victor would try again. With Maya's approval, Alex stayed at the foster home for hours, helping the girls unpack their hastily filled backpacks. Sitting on the floor of their shared bedroom, surrounded by their modest possessions, he began sharing stories about Eliza when they were children. "Your mother could draw beautifully, just like you two," he told them, showing photos of his sister with the same birthmark they shared. "And she knew all the constellations. She used to say our birthmark was shaped like a star because we were meant to shine." As twilight fell, the twins gradually relaxed, asking questions about their mother, soaking up every detail Alex could provide. It was the first time anyone had given them concrete information about where they came from, who they came from. When he finally left the foster home, both girls were sleeping peacefully. As he walked to his car, Alex's phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. "If you want to find your sister, come alone." Below was an address on the industrial outskirts of town. Alex looked back at the house where the twins now slept safely, then at the mysterious text, torn between pursuing answers about Eliza and protecting her daughters from Victor's next move. The abandoned factory loomed against the night sky, its broken windows and rusted infrastructure creating ominous silhouettes in the moonlight. Alex checked the address again, questioning his decision to come alone. The court hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m., just 8 hours away. He needed information about Eliza now, but walking into this potential trap seemed reckless. Still, if there was any chance of finding his sister. The side door creaked as he pushed it open, flashlight illuminating dust motes dancing in the beam. The vast interior was largely empty, save for rusting machinery and debris, perfect for an ambush. Alex tensed as footsteps echoed from the shadows. "Mr. Reed," a man emerged into the light. Mid-50s, weathered face, carrying himself with the watchful posture of someone accustomed to staying unnoticed. "James Wilson, former security consultant for Victor Harmon." "You sent the text." Alex kept a cautious distance. "Why?" "Professional courtesy," Wilson replied. "Victor hired me 8 years ago to make your sister disappear, not permanently, just from your life. Now he's hired someone else to handle the current situation, someone less ethical than me." "You know where Eliza is?" Alex's heart raced. Wilson nodded, removing a flash drive from his pocket. "She's alive, living under another name in Grayson Hills, about 4 hours north, working as an art therapist at a children's clinic." He handed Alex the drive. "Everything's here. Her address, her new identity, surveillance photos confirming it's her. Victor had me monitor her periodically to ensure she stayed away." Alex struggled to process this information. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because Victor crossed a line," Wilson's expression hardened. "Manipulating adults is business. Manipulating children is something else. When I heard about the twins..." He shook his head. "I have grandchildren their age." Alex examined the flash drive, conflicting emotions churning within him. Why would Eliza stay away all these years, even from her own daughters? "She believes you rejected her in her pregnancy. Victor made sure of that." Wilson's matter-of-fact tone carried no apology. "He showed her emails, supposedly from you, wanting nothing to do with her or the babies. Then he offered her a fresh start with a substantial financial package, conditional on her complete disappearance. And the twins? They were part of this deal? Wilson's hesitation spoke volumes. That part's unclear. Victor told me she abandoned them at the hospital. I'm not convinced that's the whole story. As Alex drove back to his apartment, his mind spun with possibilities. Had Eliza willingly left her daughters? Or was there more to the story? Another layer of Victor's manipulation? He connected the flash drive to his laptop, breath-catching, as photos of Eliza filled the screen. His sister, 8 years older but unmistakable, shopping at a farmer's market, teaching art to children, living a life completely disconnected from her past, and from her daughters. The photos showed a woman who appeared functional but not happy. There was a hollowness in her eyes that reminded Alex of his own reflection before meeting the twins. Morning arrived too quickly. Alex had barely processed the revelations about Eliza when he needed to focus on the court hearing. He arrived at the courthouse to find Maya already waiting, concern etched on her face. Victor's team has been busy, she warned, leading him toward Judge Simmons' chambers. There's been a media story questioning your motives for pursuing guardianship of the twins. Alex nodded grimly. I saw it. Suggestions I'm using them for tax benefits and positive publicity during company difficulties. It's a deliberate attempt to create public skepticism, Maya confirmed, but we have the DNA results and documentation of Victor's interference with your sister. Judge Simmons' chambers felt too small for the tension it contained. Victor wasn't present, but his lawyer Thomas Carter sat with perfect composure, a leather portfolio on his lap. The judge reviewed the DNA test results and Alex's evidence about Victor's interference with communication between the siblings. This certainly establishes a biological connection, she acknowledged, and raises troubling questions about Mr. Harmon's actions. Carter smiled thinly. While these historical family dramas are entertaining, Your Honor, they're irrelevant to the current placement decision for the Parker twins. I disagree, Maya interjected. Family connection is extremely relevant, particularly when it appears the separation was deliberately engineered. The judge seemed to be leaning toward their position when Carter opened his portfolio with theatrical timing. Perhaps this will clarify matters, he said smoothly, removing a document bearing official seals. My client has been in possession of this legal directive from Eliza Reed, giving Mr. Harmon authority over her children's placement should she be unable to care for them. He placed the document before the judge. As you can see, Ms. Reed explicitly didn't want her brother involved in their lives. My client has honored her wishes by seeking the best possible home for these children, away from the family dynamics that clearly troubled their mother. Alex stared at the document in disbelief. That's impossible. That signature, it doesn't match Eliza's handwriting. As Maya pointed out inconsistencies in the documentation, the judge ordered a full investigation into its authenticity. But Alex knew Victor had just bought himself time to create more obstacles, more diversions. Leaving the courthouse, Alex made his decision. He needed to find Eliza immediately, not just for himself, but because her testimony was their only hope of definitively countering Victor's claims. His phone rang as he reached his car. Maya's voice was tense. The twins never arrived at school today. They're missing. The lake house appeared abandoned at first glance. Curtains drawn, no vehicles visible from the private road. But Alex noticed the security cameras disguised as birdhouses, the fresh tire tracks in the gravel drive. This remote property, owned by a shell company he'd traced to Victor's corporation, was too perfectly isolated to be coincidental. He parked his car a quarter-mile away, approaching on foot through the surrounding woods. Each step increased his certainty and his anxiety. The police had been reluctant to act immediately, citing jurisdictional issues and suggesting the twins might simply have been transferred through proper channels despite the court order. Maya was working through official avenues, but Alex couldn't wait. Officer Bennett, a local cop sympathetic to their situation after his own experience with foster care, had provided the crucial tip. Victor Harmon's ex-wife called the station, said she knew where he might take children he wanted to keep safe from outside influence. Apparently, he'd done something similar during their custody battle. Through the trees, Alex caught his first glimpse of the lakeside dock and froze. Two small figures sat dangling their feet in the water, supervised by a man who was clearly security personnel, not a caretaker. Lily and Rose, still wearing their school backpacks, appeared unharmed but subdued. Relief at finding them was immediately tempered by understanding the calculation behind their treatment. Victor wouldn't harm the children. He'd simply use them as leverage. Movement at the house drew Alex's attention. A woman stood at the window, watching the twins. Even at this distance, he recognized her immediately. The same dark curls, now streaked with gray, the same graceful posture, though more guarded than he remembered. Eliza, here, with her daughters yet separated from them by glass and 8 years of lies. The revelation staggered him. Victor hadn't just found the twins. He'd located Eliza too, bringing all the pieces together for this twisted endgame. Alex circled to the service entrance, finding it unlocked. An invitation, not an oversight. In the kitchen, Victor waited alone, drinking scotch like this was a normal business meeting. Right on time, Victor said, unruffled by Alex's furious expression. I've always appreciated your punctuality. Where are they? Alex demanded. Safe. Victor gestured toward the window showing the dock. The girls are enjoying the lake. Your sister is upstairs, coming to terms with reality. He sipped his drink. Everyone exactly where they should be, together, as you wanted, though not quite how you imagined, I suspect. What game are you playing, Victor? I prefer to think of it as negotiation. Victor's smile never reached his eyes. I'm giving you what you want, a choice between business and family, the choice your father never gave me. My father? William Reed was supposed to be my partner, bitterness edged Victor's voice. We built the original company together. But when you came along, suddenly it was all about legacy and family business. He cut me out of what should have been mine to groom his precious son. Understanding dawned. Victor's mentorship had never been about helping Alex. It had been about controlling what he believed was rightfully his. So, this is revenge? Using children as pawns? This is business, Victor corrected. I've invested 15 years in you, shaped you into the executive you are. I'm not losing another Reed company to family sentimentality. He placed a document on the counter, a contract transferring Alex's company shares to Victor and removing him from leadership. Sign this, announce your retirement to focus on personal matters, and you can play happy family with Eliza and the twins. Refuse, and they return to their previous trajectories, separate and distant. Before Alex could respond, a voice from the doorway stopped him cold. Alex? Eliza stood frozen, her face a mirror of disbelief matching his own. For a heartbeat, they stared at each other across 8 years of absence. Then the back door burst open as Rose and Lily ran inside, responding to some commotion outside. Seeing Eliza, they stopped abruptly, confusion evident in their expressions. Mom? The word was tentative, questioning, simultaneously hopeful and afraid. Eliza's hand flew to her mouth. How? She turned to Victor. You said they died. You showed me their death certificates. Victor's mask slipped momentarily, revealing the calculation beneath. A necessary arrangement at the time. The twins moved cautiously toward Eliza, drawn by some primal recognition, despite never having known her. Rose reached out first, touching Eliza's arm where her sleeve had slid up, revealing the star-shaped birthmark identical to their own. We have the same star, she whispered. The simple observation broke something in Eliza. She dropped to her knees, gathering both girls into a desperate embrace, years of grief pouring out in racking sobs. Alex moved to join them, forming a protective circle as Victor watched with evident disgust. Touching family reunion, he said coldly, but it changes nothing. Sign the papers, Alex, or I'll make sure. The sound of approaching sirens cut him off. Through the window, police cruisers appeared on the private road, followed by Maya's car. Officer Bennett stepped inside, taking in the scene with professional calm. Victor Harmon, you're under arrest for kidnapping and violation of a court order. As Victor was led away, protesting about misunderstandings and family matters, Alex turned to Eliza and the twins, his family reunited against all odds. Are we going to be together now? Rose asked, her small face serious. Alex and Eliza exchanged uncertain looks. Years of separation and legal complications couldn't be resolved instantly. "We're going to try," Alex promised as Maya entered and assured them she'd help navigate the process of reunification. The four walked together toward the waiting cars, the twins between Alex and Eliza, their matching birthmarks visible as they held hands in the afternoon sun. The kitchen in Alex's childhood home filled with morning light as he flipped pancakes shaped like stars, a weekend tradition that had developed over the past 6 months. He'd purchased and renovated the house where he and Eliza had grown up, transforming it from a place of difficult memories into a home that might nurture healing for all of them. Photographs now lined walls that had once been bare. Children's artwork decorated the refrigerator. Signs of life and connection were slowly replacing the emptiness. "Need help?" Maya asked, entering with a bowl of fresh berries. Her presence on this Saturday morning was both professional and something more, a line they were carefully navigating as the official case neared closure. "Just about done," Alex replied, sliding the last pancake onto a growing stack. "Are they awake yet?" As if in answer, footsteps thundered down the stairs as Rose burst into the kitchen, Lily following at a more measured pace. 6 months hadn't changed their distinct personalities. Rose still charged headlong into each day while Lily observed and calculated before committing. "Aunt Susan's coming today, right?" Rose asked, reaching for the orange juice. "After her shift," Alex confirmed, "and Dr. Lewis will be here at 11. The mention of their family therapist brought a momentary tension. The weekly sessions with Dr. Patricia Lewis had become essential to their journey, providing space to navigate the complex emotions they all carried. "Where's Mom?" Lily asked quietly, her gaze drifting toward the guest house, visible through the window. "Already up and working on a project for today," Alex answered, trying to keep his tone casual. "She said she'd join us for breakfast soon." The twins exchanged one of their silent communications, a reminder that their connection to each other remained their strongest bond. Despite 6 months of carefully rebuilding relationships, Lily and Rose still maintained the protective wall they'd constructed during years in the system. Eliza's adjustment had been equally challenging. After believing for 8 years that her daughters had died at birth, an elaborate deception Victor had orchestrated during medical complications following their delivery, she struggled with overwhelming guilt and the practical reality of mothering 2 children who had grown without her. The guest house had been her idea, close enough to be present daily, but separate enough to give everyone space when emotions ran high. The custody arrangement remained complex. While Victor awaited trial for multiple charges, the legal system moved cautiously. Maya had helped secure a temporary guardianship arrangement with Alex as primary caregiver, Eliza having regular visitation that increased steadily, and Susan, the twins' former foster mother, remaining involved to provide continuity. "Dr. Lewis says we're making progress," Maya remarked later as they washed breakfast dishes, the twins outside with their art supplies. "Are we?" Alex questioned, watching through the window as Lily showed Eliza a drawing technique. "Some days it feels like we're walking on eggshells." "Healing isn't linear," Maya reminded him. 6 months ago, Eliza could barely be in the same room with the girls without breaking down. Now they're drawing together. The therapy sessions had revealed layers of trauma in all of them. The twins feared being separated if the family didn't work out. Eliza struggled with feeling she didn't know how to mother children who had grown without her. Alex battled guilt for not searching harder for his sister years ago. That evening, Alex had planned a special family dinner, a milestone celebration marking 6 months since the lake house reunion. He'd prepared Eliza's favorite foods from childhood, hoping to create new positive memories in the dining room that had once hosted tense family meals with their parents. Instead, the carefully planned evening imploded when Rose suddenly asked the question they'd all been avoiding. "Why didn't you try harder to find us?" she demanded of Eliza, her voice cracking with emotion. "Didn't you want us enough?" The painful question hung in the air. Eliza's face crumpled as she struggled to find words that could possibly explain the impossible situation she'd faced. Alex started to intervene, his protective instinct flaring, but his defense of Eliza only escalated tensions. Minutes later, the twins had retreated to their room. Eliza sat crying in the living room, and Alex stood in the kitchen wondering how their fragile progress had unraveled so quickly. Later that night, he found Eliza sitting alone on the porch swing, staring at the stars. "Maybe they'd be better off just with you," she said softly as he joined her. "You're the one who found them, who fought for them. I'm just a stranger who shares their DNA." Alex reached for the photo album he'd brought outside, something he'd been working on privately. Opening it, he showed her pages that paralleled the twins' childhood milestones, with photos of Eliza and Alex at similar ages. "We all have the same birthmark, the same expressions," he said gently. "But it's not just genetics that makes a family. It's showing up every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." Eliza traced the images with trembling fingers. "I've missed so much." "But you're here now," Alex reminded her. "That's what matters most to them, even when they're pushing you away to test if you'll stay." The next morning, when the twins cautiously ventured downstairs, they found Eliza still there, making breakfast with Alex. When Lily hesitantly asked if she was staying, Eliza showed them a calendar she'd created overnight, marking upcoming school events, birthdays, and holidays. "I'm not perfect," she told them, her voice steadier than it had been in months. "But I'm not leaving. We're going to figure this out as a family." From the doorway, Maya watched the tentative reconciliation, with a smile that spoke of both professional satisfaction and personal investment in this unconventional family's journey. Pinewood Community Center buzzed with activity, transformed from the modest building where Alex had first met the twins into a vibrant hub for family support services. Renovated and expanded through funding from the newly established Reed Family Foundation, the center now housed art therapy programs for foster children, legal assistance for family reunification, and support services for transitions, all inspired by their own journey. Alex adjusted his tie, feeling oddly nervous, despite having hosted countless corporate events over the years. This inaugural foundation gala represented something far more personal than any business success. "Uncle Alex," Rose called, rushing over an address she'd helped design. At 10 years old, she remained the more exuberant twin, while Lily approached more deliberately, her observant eyes taking in the crowded room. "Everything looks beautiful," Lily said, smoothing her matching dress. "Ms. Chen says over 200 people came." Alex smiled at their pride. The twins had been deeply involved in planning the event, their artistic talents showcased in the decorations and program materials. Their artwork, prominently displayed along the main wall, told the story of their journey, from early drawings of faceless family figures to the detailed portraits of their now complete family unit. Across the room, Eliza guided guests through the exhibition, her confidence growing as she explained the art therapy program she now helped lead. The past year had transformed her as much as it had the twins, her healing becoming intertwined with helping other families separated by circumstance, misunderstanding, or manipulation. "Your board sent another offer," Maya said quietly, joining Alex by the refreshment table. Their relationship had evolved too, navigating the transition from professional boundaries to personal connection with careful deliberation. "The third this month," Alex confirmed. With Victor removed from leadership and awaiting sentencing, Reed Innovations Board was desperate for Alex to return as CEO. They're promising complete control and resources to expand the foundation work. "But," Maya prompted, already knowing his hesitation. "But I'd be back to 80-hour weeks, traveling constantly." His gaze drifted to where Lily was showing their latest artwork to a small group of guests. "I'd miss moments like this." During a quiet moment in the celebration, Alex found the twins showing Maya their newest creation, a family portrait including her alongside Alex, Eliza, and themselves, all with the star-shaped birthmark drawn prominently on their wrists. "Is Maya going to be part of our family for real?" Lily asked, with the direct simplicity of children. "She has the special star in our picture because she helped find us." The innocent question crystallized everything Alex had been considering: his growing feelings for Maya, and his profound shift in priorities from corporate success to family connections. When he met Maya's eyes, her blush didn't hide the emotion reflected there. Later, at the podium addressing the gathered supporters and families, Alex made his decision public. He would not return to his CEO position, but instead would lead the foundation full-time, using his business experience to help other families separated by circumstance. "A year ago, I measured success by deals closed and profits made," he told the audience. Today, I measure it by a family healing together, by children finding their place, by broken circles becoming whole again. He acknowledged Maya specifically for her guidance, professionalism, and heart, hinting at a future that extended beyond their professional relationship now that the twins' case was officially closed. As the family, Alex, Eliza, Lily, and Rose, stood together for photos, their matching birthmarks visible, Alex felt a completeness he'd never known in his years of corporate achievement. The star-shaped mark that had once seemed merely a genetic curiosity had become the symbol of their reconnection, a constellation of people finding their way back to each other. Sometimes the family you're searching for is also searching for you, he reflected, watching as Maya joined their photo at the twins' insistence. Our story continues every day with challenges and joys that remind us what truly matters. The final image captured them together, not perfect, still healing, but undeniably a family chosen through love rather than obligation. Their once broken circle, finally complete. True wealth isn't measured in dollars or deals, but in the connections we fight to build and preserve. What story of connection has changed your life? Share in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters.